What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and one of the things that always, the NFL is just such a huge gamble in and of itself, right? Doesn't matter if it's free agency, doesn't matter if it's the draft, but certain teams can either just capitalize on the bad fortunes of other teams consistently, or they have a way of just identifying talent and being able to go out there and find an avenue to get it, right? And I would love the Jets to be able to get to that point, right? Like Howie Roseman and the Eagles are just the top tier team when it comes to this mold and this thought process, right? They are the quite literal closest thing to watching like a college football team in Alabama, a Clemson, a Florida, where it's just, hey, I've been racking up top 10 draft classes after top 10 draft classes, or, from the college ranks, my recruiting classes, right? But with the Jets, you look at a lot of the trades that we pulled off this year to try to beef up areas of the roster where we didn't feel like we hit right away in the draft or free agency, or we just thought that these were guys that really fit what we wanted to do, and there were multiple bonuses to acquiring them, right? Jarvis Brownlee was one of those guys, right? A cornerback that I think easily a lot of us have fallen in love with, has made the loss of MC2 almost non-existent, and also is kind of taking the shine away from someone like Sauce Gardner and Brandon Stevens to a certain degree. Him coming in instantly, helping us get takeaways, the physicality that he plays with, right? I love the whole thing. The biggest question around this trade was really, even though he was a lower draft pick, why did the new Titans GM, keep in mind it was Borgonzi, former Chiefs exec, but why did he give up on this guy that was very promising for them, right? One of the best run defending cornerbacks in the league in just his rookie year, and showed enough in coverage that you felt really good about continuing to develop him and turn him into a premium asset on your roster. And we finally heard comments from him. And so I wanted to look at these because in my mind, there's a lot that you can take away from hearing a general manager that either admits that they took a loss on a trade, or that the thinking maybe wasn't quite right, or even just the explanation of what their situation is, right? That can be a learning experience for a team as well, in that, hey, he had to unload this guy because there wasn't a belief, right? Or maybe it was a guy that was coming close to the end of his contract, and, there's a whole bevy of different scenarios that can come up. But one of the things I found intriguing is that he indicated that Brownlee did not align with his vision, which could be a very scary prospect, right? If I heard these comments at the time that the trade was announced or anything like that, or even prior, right, when I'm digging up and kind of finding out who he was, I would have had red flags everywhere, right? Oh, we just picked up a problematic player. What's the deal, right? Was this just, namesake, recency bias, something like that? Who knows? But he says, I'm aware it was controversial around here because he's a young player that was ascending. I like Jarvis, and I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. We thought at the time just some of the habits weren't conducive to building the culture right now. Anytime a GM and head coach and all this stuff is taking over, everybody wants to instill their own stuff. With the Jets, with Aaron Glenn, you keep hearing this star analogy, strong, tough, aggressive, resilient. He talks about what he's seen at his stops at Detroit and with the Saints, and really resiliency is the key there, right? And so you can make the argument with Jarvis Brownlee, there hasn't been much turmoil for him and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, when you hear him talk about habits not being conducive to building the culture, I've still yet to see anything in terms of teams needing to bench him or sit him because of bad practice habits or showing up late, or even off the field issues, right? I haven't heard about police arrest. I haven't heard about really any run-ins with the law, speeding tickets, any of that kind of nonsense that you're even getting out of guys like Shedeur Sanders, who you thought were going to be a lot more mature coming into the league. And I don't hear any of his former peers or teammates or anybody around the league really talking bad about him. So it leaves you questioning, was this a relationship that soured really quickly, or is Borgonzi just kind of reaching to save face a little bit here, right? The worst possible thing that can happen for you is, one, already the outside perception being that you just lost the trade at face value, but two, to see that player go on and have immediate, consistent success, right? Worst case scenario and a lose-lose situation if you're the GM. And so, nonetheless, ultimately where I land here in my thought process is it's just a huge win for the Jets. He identified a DNA player for himself. He has the cheap rookie contract control, and he fits the mold of everything that he wants at that position. Win, 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 right? I don't know if we'll later get any kind of story or detail into this, and I've been kind of hoping that this story just blows up a bit. One of the things I hate most is I feel like the beat reporters either ask like the same type of questions over and over, or the questions are just downright dumb, right? I don't see interesting stories develop from a lot of what they end up asking in these press conferences and stuff, but this will be what I'm intrigued by, right? What would the practice habits for Jarvis Brownlee look like right now? Why is he having so much success? And bring up these comments and try to find out what can be identified as the conclusion, right? Maybe it's as simple as them saying, we don't know whatever happened over there in Tennessee with him and the Titans, but we did our due diligence. We felt good. We had no concerns and check marks. And it's not to build the image that Borgonzi just made the dumb trade or he's incompetent or anything like that, but really just a feel-good moment and an early win for the Jets, and a continued notch for Darren Muji, who at least as a trader has seemed like he's well equipped to handle everything, right? The big trades, the small trades, the trades of need, and the trades of just opportunity, right? So kudos to him, big applause, and glad to have Jarvis Brownlee on this roster right now, which is surprising to say, because I really did think that MC2 was going to be able to stick around for a while, but I guess as we've been saying lately, every player has his price. So who knows? Maybe we'll be saying the same about Brownlee a couple years from now. But let me know what you guys think about the comments. Let me know, especially if you're a Titans fan or if you're a Jets fan and you just end up doing better research than me. What do you think about the situation? I'll catch you guys again. Peace.